Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ritesh Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu. Chanting. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Dhanva Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishnapeshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminite Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Okay. I'm looking forward to anybody who's volunteering to recite the prayers of our week today. Link is in the chat. Anybody like to sing today?
I can try, Prabhuji.
Bol, Amrish Prabhu. Yes, please. Yeah, we are doing from 21 to 30. So, yeah, Prabhuji.
Difficult words to pronounce. We'll try.
Yes.
आम्नाभ्यासानन्नानि अरण्यारुदितं यत् वेदव्राता अना अहं मेधश्चेदफलनिपूर्त विदः सर्वं हुतं भास्मानि तीर्थानाम् अवगहनानि च गजस्नानं विनायातपदः द्वन्द्वाभूरुह संस्मृतिं विजयते देवाः स नारायणः मदनापरिहर मदीये मनसि मुकुन्द मदराविन्दधाम्नि हरनायन कृष्णून क्रोशि स्मरसि न चक्र परक्रमः मुरारी नाथे धात्री भोगि भोगशयने नारायणे माधवे देवे देवकी नन्दने सुरवरे चक्रयुधे सरङ्गिनी लीलाशेष प्रपञ्च चथरे विश्वेश्वरे श्रीधरे गोविन्दे कुरुचित्तवृत्तमियचलम् अनये तु किं वर्तनये माद्राक्षं क्षिणः पुनयं शनम् अपि भवतो भक्तिहीनन् पदाब्जे माश्रुषं बन्धं तव चरितम् अपश्याज्ञात् आख्यानजतं मास्मर्शं माधवः त्वम् अपि भुवनपते चेतसपानुभननं मा भुवं त्वत्सपरेय व्यतिकररहितो जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि मज्जन्मः फलम् इदं मधुकैटभरे मत्प्रथान्य मत् अनुग्रह एष एव त्वत्प्रत्य परिचरका भृत्या इति मम स्मरे लोकनाथ तत्त्वं भुवनै परं परस्थान् मधुकृष्टेन मुदवाहिनी प्रवर्ताय प्राञ्जले अस्मि जीवे नमामि नारायण गोचरणी नमामि नारायण पद पंकजं करोमि नारायण पूजनं सदा वदामि नारायणं नम निर्मलं स्मरामि नारायण तत्त्वम् अभयम् श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण भक्त प्रिय चक्रपणे श्रीपद्मनाभच्युत कैटभरे श्रीराम पद्मश हरे मुरारी अनंत वैकुंठ मुकुंद कृष्ण गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति वक्तुं समरथोऽपि न वक्तिष्यति अहो जन्मं व्यसनन्ति मुख्यं भक्तपाय भुजङ्गगरुडमणित्रैलोक्यरक्षमणिर्गोपीलोचन चाटकम्बुद मणिः सौन्दर्यमुद्रमणिः यः कण्ठमणि रुक्मिणी घनकुच द्वन्द्ववेकभूषमरिः मणिः श्रेयो देवाशिखामणिर्दिशतु नो गोपालः चूडामणिः हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Ambesh Prabhu, for coming. And yes, you did well. Thank you so much for continuing to practice, and I'm sure Krishna will bless you. All the acharyas will bless you. Thank you. Anybody would like to read the translation?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Sri Amataji. Yeah.
All glories to Lord Narayan. Without remembrance of his lotus feet, recitation of scripture is merely crying in the wilderness. Regular observance of severe vows enjoined in the Vedas is no more than a way to lose weight. Execution of prescribed pious duties is like pouring oblations onto ashes, and bathing at various holy sites is no better than an elephant's bath. O Cupid, abandon your residence in my mind, which is now the home of Lord Mukunda's lotus feet. You have already been incinerated by Lord Shiva's fiery glance, so why have you forgotten the power of Lord Murari's disc? Think only of your master and sustainer, the Supreme Lord, who is known as Narayan and Madhav, and who lies on the body of the serpent Ananta. He is the darling son of Devki, the hero of the demigods, and the lord of the cows, and he holds the conch shell and the bow Shranga. He is the husband of the goddess of fortune and the controller of all the universes, which he manifests from his abdomen as a pastime. What will you gain by thinking of anything else? O Madhav, please do not let me even glance at those whose pious credits are so depleted that they have no devotion for your lotus feet. Please do not let me be distracted from listening to the worthy narrations of your pastimes and become interested in other topics. Please, O Lord of the universe, let me pay no attention to those who avoid thinking of you, and let me never be unable to serve you in some menial way, birth after birth. O enemy of Madhu and Kaitaba, O Lord of the universe, the perfection of my life and the most cherished mercy you could show me would be for you to consider me the servant of 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 your servant. My dear tongue, I stand before you with joined palms and beg you to recite the names of Lord Narayan. These names, describing the supreme absolute truth, bring great pleasure as if exuding honey. At every moment, I bow down to the lotus feet of Narayan. I perform worship to Narayan. I recite the pure name of Narayan and I reflect on the infallible truth of Narayan. O Srinath, Narayan, Vasudev, Divine Krishna, O kind friend of your devotees, O Chakrapani, Padmanabh, Achyuta, Kaitabari, Ram, Padmaksh, Hari Murari, O Ananta, Vaikuntha, Mukunda, Krishna, Govinda, Damodar, Madhav. Although all people can address you, still they remain silent. Just see how eager they are for their own peril. He is a jewel riding on the back of Garuda, who carries away the Lord's devotees on his wings. He is a magic jewel protecting the three worlds, the jewel-like cloud attracting the Jataka bird eyes of the gopis, and the jewel among all who gesture gracefully. He is the only jewel ornament on the ample breast of Queen Rukmini, who is herself the jewel of beloved consorts. May that crown jewel of all gods, the best of the cowards, grant us the supreme benediction. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण श्री मुकुंद मंत्र की जय श्री कुलशेखर आलवार की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you, Amresh Prabhu, once again, and Shri Mataji for the wonderful presentation and translation. Okay, we'll continue with Shri Prabhupada Leelamrit. Yes, we started. We transition from chapter 15 to 16. Prabhupada, this is titled Free to Preach. So we saw with all the struggles where in chapter 15 where he was reaching out to his contacts in India to help him start a temple here in New York. Lal Bahadur Shastri passed away. He also reached out to Indira Gandhi, but her office politely declined. He reached out to Mr. Singhania again, but there was no response. Sumati Morarji, also again there was no response right now. To send him Mridanga for his kirtan and to give more passage to others if they come from India. But eventually he also moved into a different room now in the same building because he wanted to have his own place so that he could preach, because this one time lecturing, while it was something good, still he wanted to have his own place where he could preach, because that is the whole mood and mission with which his Guru Maharaj had sent him, asked him to go to the West. So he moved into his own room in the same building. But of course, he was living in very difficult conditions. There was no place to even cook or take bath there. So he had to go back to Dr. Mishra's apartment for all of that. Okay, but yet he continued every single day to do his translation. Every single day he was offering bhoga to the Lord. He was preaching on Bhagavad Gita. And that is where he was connected to the Lord, because he was seeing the Lord everywhere, the Lord within everything. So he was forever in the shelter, blissful shelter of his Guru Maharaj and the Lord. Okay, so we'll continue. I think we stopped here yesterday. Yeah, so we'll continue from here. Okay, I can read today. Moving out of the yoga studio into the small office downstairs gave Srila Prabhupada what he was looking for, his own place. But not even euphemistically could that place be called a temple. His name was on the door. Anyone seeking him there could find him. But who would come there? By its opulence and beauty, a temple was supposed to attract people to Krishna. But room 307 was just the opposite. It was bare poverty. Even a person interested in spiritual topics would find it uncomfortable to sit on the rugless floor of a room shaped like a narrow railroad car. One of Dr. Mishra's students had donated a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and Prabhupada recorded some of his solitary bhajans, which he sang to his own accompaniment of hand cymbals. He also recorded a long philosophical essay, Introduction to Gita Upanishad. Even if no one attends, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had told him, you can go on chanting to the four walls. But since he was now free to speak his message in the new situation God had provided, he decided to lecture 3 evenings a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to whoever would come. His first audiences consisted mainly of people who had heard about him or met him at Dr. Mishra's yoga studio, and despite the poverty of his room, the meetings became a source of new life for him. March 18. He expressed his optimism in a letter to Sumati Morarji. I was very much encouraged when you wrote to say, I feel that you should stay there until you fully recover from your illness and return only after you have completed your mission. I think these lines dictated by you are the words of Lord Balakrishna expressed through your goodness. You will be pleased to know that I have improved my health back to normal and my missionary work is nicely progressing. I hope my project to start a temple of Sri Radhakrishna will also be realized by the grace of the Lord. Since I came to New York from Butler, Pennsylvania, I have rented the above room at $70 per month, and I am delivering lectures on the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, accompanied by Sankirtan, and the American ladies and gentlemen come to hear me. You will be surprised to know that they do not understand the language of Sankirtan, yet they hear with attention. The movement which I started here is completely new to them because the Americans are generally acquainted with the Indian yoga gymnastics as performed by some Indian yogis here. They have never heard of the bhakti cult of the science of Krishna before, and still they are hearing me. This is a great success for me. Outside the closed windows of room 307, the late winter night has fallen. Prabhupada's words are punctuated with the muted sounds of car horns and occasional sirens from the street, and sometimes by the startling chords of a lonely foghorn on the Hudson. Although bare, the room is warm. Prabhupada is speaking on the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now Arjuna is perplexed. He is perplexed about whether to fight or not to fight. After seeing in front of him his relatives with whom he has to fight, he was perplexed, and there was some argument with Krishna. Now, here is a point. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada's voice is earnest, persuading. Sometimes his speech becomes high pitched and breaks with urgency. His cultured British diction bears a heavy Bengali accent. Suddenly he pauses in his lecture and addresses someone in the room. Prabhupada, what is that? Man, what? Prabhupada, what is this book? Man, well, this is a translation of the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada is obviously displeased that while he is speaking, someone is looking through a book. This is hardly like the respect offered to learned speakers described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada, well, no, you can hear me. Man, I am hearing. Prabhupada, yes, don't turn your attention. Just hear me. He is taking the role of a teacher, correcting his student. Of course, there is no compelling reason why any of his casual guests should feel obliged to obey him. He simply begs for their attention and yet demands it. Just hear me, as he attempts to convince them of Krishna consciousness. You have heard that one must accept the spiritual master after careful examination, just as one selects a bride or a bridegroom after careful examination. In India, they are very careful because the marriage of boys and girls takes place under the guidance of the parents. So the parents very carefully see to it. Similarly, one has to accept the spiritual master. It is necessary. According to Vedic injunctions, everyone should have a spiritual master. Perhaps you have seen a sacred thread. We have got sacred thread. Mr. Cohen, you have seen sacred thread? Prabhupada pauses. His audience has not noted the thin white cords he wears beneath his shirt across the upper part of his body. For thousands of years, Brahmanas in India have worn such threads, placed diagonally across the torso, looped over the left shoulder, and down to the right waist. A Brahmana holds this thread in his right hand while chanting the sacred Gayatri mantra 3 times a day. But this is all strange indeed to Americans. Prabhupada himself is exotic to them. His grey chadar wrapped around his shoulders, he sits cross-legged and erect on a thin pillow, and they sit facing him on the other side of his trunk, which now serves as a desk and lectern. They are close together in the narrowness of the room. He is frail and small and foreign to them, yet somehow he is completely assured in a way that has nothing to do with being a foreigner in New York. Visitors sense his strong presence. 2 white lines of clay run nearly vertical on his forehead. His pale peach clothes are gathered in loose folds around his body. He pauses only a few seconds to inquire whether they have seen a sacred thread. That sacred thread is a sign that a person has a spiritual master. Here, of course, there is no such distinction, but according to the Hindu system, a married girl also has some sign so that people can understand that this girl is married. She wears a red mark so that others may know that she is married. And according to the division in the hair, what is this line called? Man, part, Prabhupada. Man, part, Prabhupada. What is the spelling? Man, part, Prabhupada. Part? This parting also has some meaning. They know English and he knows the Gita, but he knows a good deal of English, whereas they know practically nothing of the Gita, which he has to spoon feed to them. But occasionally he asks their help in English vocabulary. When the part is in the middle, then the girl has her husband, and she is coming from a respectable family. And if the part is here, then she is a prostitute. With a slight gesture, he raises his right hand toward, but never really reaching his head. Yet somehow, the half gesture clearly indicates a part on the side of the head. And then again, when a girl is well dressed, it should be understood that she has her husband at home. And when she is not well dressed, it is to be understood that her husband is away from home. You see? And a widow's dress, there are so many symptoms. So, similarly, the sacred thread is a sign that a person has accepted a spiritual master, just as the red mark symbolizes that a girl has a husband. Although his audience may be momentarily enamored by what appears to be a description of Indian social customs, a careful listener can grasp the greater context of Prabhupada's speech. Everyone must accept a spiritual master. It's a heavy topic for a casual audience. What is the need of taking a spiritual master? Isn't this just for India? But he says everyone should have a spiritual master. What is a spiritual master anyway? Maybe he means that accepting a spiritual master is just another cultural item from Hinduism, like the thread, or the part in a woman's hair, or the widow's dress. The audience can easily regard his discussion as a kind of cultural exposition, just as one comfortably watches a film about the living habits of people in a foreign land, although one has no intention of adopting these habits as one's own. The Swami is wearing one of those threads on his body, but that is for Hindus, and it doesn't mean that Americans should wear them. But these Hindus' beliefs are interesting. Actually, Prabhupada has no motive but to present the absolute truth as he has heard it in disciplic succession. But if anyone in that railroad car shaped room were to ask himself, should I surrender to a spiritual master? He would be confronted by the existential presence of a genuine guru. One is free to regard his talk as one likes. In every step of one's life, the spiritual master guides. Now, to give such a guidance, a spiritual master should also be a very perfect man. Otherwise, how can he guide? Now, here Arjuna knows that Sri Krishna is the perfect person, so therefore he is accepting him. Shishyasteham sadi mam tvam prapannam. Sanskrit, no one knows a word of it, but there is never any question for Srila Prabhupada. Even if they don't understand it, the transcendental sound of Shastra will purify them. It is his authority, and he cannot omit it. And even at first impression, it presents an air of scholarly authority, the original, though foreign words of the sages. I am just surrendering unto you, and you accept me as your disciple, Arjuna says. Friendly talks cannot make a solution to perplexity. Friendly talks may be going on for years together, but no solution. So here, Arjuna accepts Krishna as the spiritual master. This means that whatever Krishna will dictate, he has to accept. One cannot deny the order of the spiritual master. Therefore, one has to select a spiritual master by whose orders one will not commit a mistake. Suppose you accept the wrong person as spiritual master and he guides you wrongly, then your whole life is spoiled. So one has to accept a spiritual master whose guidance will make one's life perfect. That is the relationship between spiritual master and disciple. It is not a formality, it is a great responsibility, both for the disciple and for the spiritual master. And yes, student, but if the disciple is in ignorance before Prabhupada, yes, Prabhupada acknowledges a serious question. It is for answering questions like this from disciples in ignorance that he has left retirement in India and come to America. Student, how does he know which master to choose? Because he doesn't have the knowledge to make a wise decision. Prabhupada, yes. So the first thing is that one should be searching after a spiritual master, just as you search after some school. You must at least have some preliminary knowledge of what a school is. You can't search for a school and go to a cloth shop. If you are so ignorant that you do not know what is a school and what is a cloth shop, then it is very difficult for you. You must know at least what a school is. So that knowledge is like this. Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Avabhigachet Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. According to this verse, the spiritual master is required for a person who is inquisitive about transcendental knowledge. There's another verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. One should search after a spiritual master if one is inquisitive about transcendental subject matters. Unless one is at least conversant with preliminary knowledge of transcendental matters, how can he inquire from the spiritual master? His questioner seems satisfied. The lecture is not a prepared speech on a specific subject. Though grave and thorough in scholarship, it ranges over several philosophical points. Yet he never pauses, groping for words. He knows exactly what he wants to say, and it is only a question of how much his audience can take. Hare Krishna. Okay, I'll pause here for today. Yes, anything anybody liked, loved, or learned from today's reading? Reflections? I was just wondering when Prabhupada would speak with us. I don't know, maybe I was mentioning maybe last, some of us in the last word may have seen Srila Prabhupada or may have gotten his darshan in New York, and maybe we are born in this new life. But yeah, just hearing him, how much of conviction he has, even though there are just a handful of people, and how Guru Maharaj told him, even if no one comes, you should continue to chant and do your Sankirtan. Right? Just the four walls will be listening. That is also okay. And even now, yeah, in some temples, I remember some devotees were mentioning sometimes when they prepare for class so hard, and hardly there are any devotees in the audience. And still Prabhupada used to say that yes, same thing that what his Guru Maharaj told him, that but at least now we have all these wonderful temples built by Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful disciples all over the world, that at least we have the deities. So they would, he would say, yes, we have all these wonderful deities, Shri Radha Krishna, Gauranitai, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. Everybody is there. They're all listening, so even if there's only one person or there's nobody in the audience, still we should, continue to preach with the same enthusiasm. Yes, this chapter is also very nice. Free to preach. Prabhupada is now free in his own place. Chapter is also number 16, very auspicious number. So Prabhupada is so nicely starting to preach now. Yes. Okay. Any other thoughts or reflections? Anandini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, like, he is a lion preacher. That's what I was thinking, that he is not looking if his audience is ready. Start them with that you are a soul, you're not this body. Give them the six stages of self-discovery. No, he went go straight into the very deep topics about accepting a spiritual master, brahmacharya, chastity of a woman. So whether his audience is ready or not, he is giving them the deepest subjects, and with full force, not seeing whether how they're going to accept it, will they retaliate it, such topics that sometimes, like, as of course nowhere near to Prabhupada, but you would feel, oh my God, you're telling some lady, don't make a part in the side because that may be a sign of a prostitute. Make a part in the middle. So these are such topics that can cause real disturbance amongst audience. But his purity and his truthfulness just comes forward, and looks like people are listening. Whoever is imbibing it. So very, very impressive, Prabhu. Like, you just have to speak with pure heart and what you feel is true, and Krishna will do the rest, is what I felt.
Yes, and that is the beauty, and that is what kind of strikes us, the purity of the message, the simplicity of the message. Because when it is pure, then it really strikes you. And yes, not everybody will be willing to take this or will be capable to take this. Like you said, of course, when there's a precious diamond, not everybody is qualified to buy a diamond, right? So similarly, but yeah, those who are qualified not materially, but by the but from the heart, who are pure from the heart, or who Krishna attracts those hearts which are like butter, right? So the hearts that are soft, which are not hardened by all the anarthas, then yes, those they are really attracted, and they'll be attracted by the pure message. So yeah, thank you.
Kind of.
Nalin Prabhu, anything you want to share?
Yeah, like kind of diamond and gold relation, right? Devotee is a gold and diamond is the Krishna or Jagannath or Narayan. So that kind of relation, like the combination of gold and diamond uh, is the important, like the devotee and the God, right? So to adapt that characteristics is really um, important for a devotee to become a pure devotee of Krishna.
Mhm.
So Srila Prabhupada has that characteristics as a devotee. That's why he doesn't have fear to share anything or preach anything anywhere, irrespective of place, person, because his intention is clear. So
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Like we said yesterday, when you see Krishna everywhere and everything in Krishna, that is what he was doing, right? For him, Krishna was sending these sincere souls, right? So he knew nothing will go wrong. He was just giving the message that Krishna asked him to give, that is Guru Maharaj asked him to give. And these souls were coming sincerely to hear to him three days a week. So yes. Thank you, Nalan Prabhu. Okay, anybody else has any other reflections? Shilpa Mataji, was that a hand raised or?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. We were just reading about Prabhupada asking, commenting on the women parting. They must part the hair from the center. So I just happened to read about another Vaishnava in one book, and actually the women at that time during Prabhupada's, his sadhana, like, and that struggle period. So I got a impression that those women were very, very like a simple, and they were not allowed to look from the veil. That kind of women were there at that time. So in one another book, I had read about a Vaishnav describing his women folks, and they were like, I was very surprised. They wrote that, and he's a big Vaishnav. So he wrote that my mother never lifted her veil, and if anybody came, she would just put her veil and then talk from the veil. So, and then this simplicity helped them a lot to progress, it seems. So I was wondering that because they have brothers, husband who are devotees, pure devotees, and then they are serving them. So naturally they got the benefit. So I used to think like that. Um, but then it is the nature of the person, because there were so many modern women afterwards also at that time. So that doesn't give a picture that women has to be like this or like that. So about the parting of the hair from the center, so actually it is very individual what one perceives. That is what I feel.
Hmm.
That
Yes,
I just share it.
yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, the culture, like even here when we're reading, sometimes the Americans might think, oh, this is a culture from India, right? It should be really adopted, or even accepting a spiritual master, wearing a Vaishnava thread, right? But yeah, if you go deeper, all of our cultural embellishments, I mean everything, there is a deeper purpose behind everything, right? So of course I'm not very educated on that part, but at least from what Srila Prabhupada is speaking, yeah, all of these small things, there is a deeper purpose in our culture,
Yeah.
where
Kind
the mark at the
of. And
Yeah.
Prabhuji, one thing also like I would like to share. We may
Mhm.
not be so particular about this, but some people are very particular about, how you carry yourself. So these were the things in the past, like they might be related to the traditional, the inhibitions. So these things might be there. But internally now we know that if your mind and heart is strong, then your appearance is not that significant. So that's what I feel.
Yes.
Because in today's world, if they see that I'm apart from the center and all, so that's not possible. That's what I feel. But these Vaishnavas, in particular Prabhupada, as we are talking here, he took even a minute detail into his, acceptance, and that's how he could reach out to many people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
I had heard about this parting from, I think, another senior Vaishnavi, but of course we had not understood the details. But of course here Prabhupada clarifies that. And that is the beauty again, like he encourages those discussions. Prabhupada always wants serious students to ask questions, thoughtful questions, and only when our questions are answered, then we'll develop deeper faith in the words of the
Yeah.
Lord, in the words of our acharyas. So
Yes, Prabhuji.
yeah, no question is small, no question is insignificant. But yeah, behind everything that we do, there is a deeper purpose, and it's good that we can understand that purpose. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not able to lower that raised that picture, so please pardon me for that.
No problem. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you again for everybody for your kind association this morning. So we'll conclude with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavanda ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai, Nitai Gaur, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.